We did it.
We did it! How's it going?
I'm
Oh,
good. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Let me turn this up a little bit more. There we go.
Awesome. It's
So,
so bright in here. Like the light. I have to like turn that.
so
It's nice to meet you,
it
Carol.
is nice to meet you too. Thanks for accepting my request the other day. This is wonderful.
You're welcome. It is wonderful. I think it's really great.
Yeah.
It's
So,
proof of the power of like this community that people who are like who never met each other in person maybe
yeah.
are able to connect and have the depth of connection which we're about to have on this
Yeah.
call. So
This is really good. I'm still amazed at the depth, just like you said, the depth that we can have through the internet and through Facebook and everything else.
totally. So true.
So you live in New York City? Is that what I?
Do you?
Great.
I live in Bushwick, Brooklyn, which is like it's like ghetto hipster paradise. It's yeah,
Uh,
it's a mix. I live on this. My block is called the M block. It's yeah, it's like I'm realizing a lot about my life right now. I've lived here for 2 years. My apartment is amazing. I like overlook gardens, and I'm so grateful for this apartment. This apartment is like such a beautiful, wonderful place to live. So looking forward to like my next steps and where I'm going to be moving next is an exciting piece
that
right now.
is, yeah, that is. I live in the middle of the heartland. I live in Wichita, Kansas. So
Oh wow!
yeah. So
Like Dorothy.
huh?
Like Dorothy.
Yes, like Dorothy. We just actually had a little Dorothy-like scare last weekend. So
Oh no! Was it tornado?
yeah, it was tornado. It dissipated before it really caused a lot of damage, so that was good. But it's just one of those things you're used to, and you just deal with it and take your precautions and go on. So
Totally. New York has had some really crazy flash floods and like just like wild rain, and the weather has just been like extreme.
yeah, ours has been. We've had a really cool spring, which has been really
Mm,
weird. I mean, today we're just like at I think 86 is the high, and that's been as warm as it's been in a couple weeks. And normally by this point, that's about a normal for us. So it's
wow.
been strange here too.
The weather, I mean, part of it, I think, like, I don't know if you're into astrology at all or like the movement of the planets. And we're right now, today is actually a really special cosmic day. It's like the biggest full moon of the year, and it's the time that the moon is closest to Earth. And I think it's also happening. There's a lunar eclipse.
Mhm.
So, like, I mean, just there's like a lot of weird stuff. I don't know if you had like a weird week with like lots of people being really passive aggressive, but like, I've had so many interactions that are just like not the norm, and I'm just like, okay, I'm noticing a theme here. This is not like about me. Like, I mean, I'm in it, but I mean, it's all about you in some way, but it's like, I think I don't know. I think there's something cosmic happening, so it kind of
Yeah,
gives me
I
some.
don't do much with that stuff, but I do I do think that the weather sometimes does kind of help people along in their behaviors and things. My husband
Yeah.
used to be a policeman, and he could always tell when it was a full moon because he would have more arrests and more crazy weird things going on.
Totally. That's so funny. I mean, I'm sure he really saw it too, because like if you're on like the front line and you're seeing people in their most like non-social behavior, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Well, and now he's retired from that.
Yeah, well, he did that for about 8.5 years, and then he pastored some churches for a while,
Cool.
and went into banking and did that together. But we have a son who's 22, and when he got to be about, he was 7, and then I was pregnant with our second son, and he just decided that it was time to be home more because he worked crazy hours. He worked midnights. It was just he was not home a lot, and he missed a lot of activities with our oldest son. So he quit that and went into banking for a
Awesome.
while, and we
Good
are
man. That's a
pastors.
good.
Yeah,
That
so
doesn't happen all the time. That's so great.
no, yeah, and it was time. It was good while he did it, and then after he was finished, it was just time to move on. So he did. And
That's awesome. And so
yeah.
now he's a pastor and he's also a businessman.
Yes.
Perfect. That
So
is like the
we do both.
perfect match. I
It
think.
is. It is. It's a very good match. So, because I mean, and you know how it is on the internet, even, and as in normal everyday face to face life, you meet
Mhm.
people that have problems and have issues. They just need somebody to talk to, and somebody that can take a different perspective and be a guide. So that's one of the neat things that we like about what we do is that we're
Totally.
available for people and things.
I'm so vibing with you on that. Like that's so much of what I do and where I come from is really being a guide, not just a guide. I wouldn't use the word guide, but I come from like the spiritual realm. I'm a yogi, and I actually did a lot of work in like the subtle psychic sort of realms. It's kind of similar in a way. It has to do with
Hmm.
like God and spirituality and helping people find that inner light and that inner connection to the divine, which we all have. And
Right.
so, I think I grew up Jewish. I grew up in a Jewish, like modern Orthodox Jewish upbringing, which is like doesn't have any idea about like psychic or any of that.
Yeah.
So, but I think that like when you feel really called to like help people and to really like bring them light, because I can see it in your eyes and your face, like this like glow that you emanate. And it's so like that's such a beautiful thing to bring to the world. And I think that just being, one of the things I'm kind of learning is like just being and not having to even do so much, because sometimes I'm trying to do like a bunch of different
Hmm.
things and like really really help people, and it's almost like no, I mean sort of my message that I'm getting is like chill, just
Uh-huh.
be yourself. It's okay, and do you listen to Tony Robbins at all? Are you into Tony Robbins?
I know that Carla's. I haven't yet. This is actually the end of my first week of really
Mm-hmm.
doing this full time and getting into the 8 core steps, and so that's one of the things. I'm reading a book by Danny Johnson right now, and as soon as I
Cool.
get her book finished, then I'm going to move into some other stuff. But I have not read any of his yet.
I'm just one of the people on my team, one of my sponsees actually gave me this like amazing like little plug for Anthony Robbins, like shaping your destiny.
Uh huh.
It's like this really cool like audio CD set of like a lot of his talks and things, and I've just been listening to it a lot and just kind of like letting it flow through my mind.
Yeah.
One of the things he talked about was how when you operate from faith, when you operate from a sense that like you're being guided, divinely guided,
Hmm.
it's not you don't have to do so much, it's not so about you. And often we come from this like little s self, like I'm going to do this, I'm going to make 20 calls, I'm going to tell everyone about this great thing, and you're coming from a place where you're really trying to convince people, or like trying to like you're doing too much, you
Right.
know and what I'm learning is that like Empower Network speaks for itself,
Yeah.
and if people connect with the message and connect with this community and connect with this system and believe in the dream, which so many people are living, like Justin Varengia, who's living in Medellin, Colombia, and like a couple years ago, Justin Varengia and Dee Varengia, they're like amazing. I love them.
Yeah. We
And
saw them. We were in Chicago. I don't know if you were in
oh,
Chicago,
cool.
but we
Yeah,
saw them
I
in
was.
Chicago.
Oh, awesome. So you saw them, right? So they used to live in China because like that was the most affordable option for them. And like they're travelers and they're like spiritual
Hmm.
people. And after Justin met Dave, like they tell the story actually in one of the inner circle calls, the one on I think it's October, no, I think it's like January 28th, the one right after everyone came back from Austin, Texas. And he tells the story about how he met Dave because he was living in Costa Rica, and he went down. Dave was like, "Hey, come to my house, like come hang out," because they were both internet marketers and they never met. So he invites Justin down, and Justin comes and they go to this like waterfall. And Justin at first is like amazed that Dave does like an hour of work. He like writes an email and then he's like, "Okay, let's go to the beach."
Yeah.
Great. And Dave Wood is like the head of this humongous company of like 150,000 people. They've paid out like $40 million in commissions. This is like legit stuff. They work with like the top industry professionals. Top industry professionals keep getting attracted to Empower Network because it's just so amazing. It's just so unique, the payment plan and just the entire community. So they're okay. So they just Dave writes a little email and then they're like, oh, we're gonna go out. We're gonna go to the beach. So they go to a waterfall, right? And Justin is like in the waterfall, and suddenly he gets like sucked down, and he's like getting pulled down in the tide. like literally he might die, and
Yeah.
he tells the story, and Dave is like, just let go. Just let go. And Dave like jumps into the waterfall, like the tide is pulling them out, and Dave like literally coaches him to just let go, to stop fighting against it. And as soon, Justin says, as soon as he lets go, the flow just pulls him over and he's
Mhm.
able to get out. So
Yeah.
what's so amazing about this story, I think, is like it teaches us all a lesson. It's a lesson that so many people learn, that we all kind of learn at a point. You're like fighting, or you're like trying, or like you know, like that's most people's lives are like this, like, oh, I gotta do this. But
Yeah.
it's like as soon as you just kind of like let go and like let God, let the universe, let synchronicity take you where you need to go, it all works.
Yeah. And that's it. That's what we're finding. You just there's obviously things that you need to do, but you don't need to just focus on them all the time and let that be your world, and you just do what you need to do, and just like you said, just be and
Mhm.
let it happen.
Yes, totally. And I think Empower Network is a place that like a lot of people are like learning that. Like
Yeah.
we should actually tell our stories. We should tell our stories because I want to hear your story. I want to tell you a little bit about my story because
Yeah.
I think, well, we're going to be able to share this with people so that people who are kind of like looking at Empower Network and being like, "What is this? I don't know." They can kind of see two real women talking about their real experiences with this amazing community
Yeah.
and this amazing system. So,
Yeah. This is just awesome.
totally.
Well, my story is I'm 42, we'll be 43 this year, and we've been married for 24 years, almost 25. We were 18 when we got married, had our oldest son when we were 20.
Hmm.
And so we've lived all over. We lived in Dallas, Fort Worth for about 5 years. Then we lived in central and western Kansas for, I think, another 5 to 6 years. And then we lived in Pennsylvania for about 5 years. Then we went back to Texas and lived in Corpus Christi for a little over 5 years. And now we're back in Wichita, Kansas. So we've kind of come full circle and been all over, which has been fun. And now we have 3 kids, and so we have our oldest is Christopher. He's 22. He's in the Navy,
Wow.
and he's stationed in Groton, Connecticut. Our middle child is Colin. He's 15, and he just finished his freshman year of high school. And then Caitlin is our baby, and she is 11 and just finished her fifth grade year, and we homeschool her. So
Amazing. Oh
yeah,
my
it's
God.
fun.
That's so awesome. That is
Yeah.
so cool.
So yeah, it was a choice that we just decided we were ready to make. And Colin is still, he goes to high school because he wanted to do the football thing and some other stuff. So he's doing that, and then she's home with us, and we both work with her and teach her. And so it was a really, really good year this year with her. This is our first year to do it.
Oh, wow. It
So,
takes such guts to do that,
so
right?
yeah, it does. It was kind of daunting at first because I've not, the year that I went to college, I majored in education, but that was 25 years ago. So, um,
Totally. What does she have like a community of other kids that she can connect with and that she can
mhm.
that's so important. I actually have a lot of friends who've been homeschooled. It was my dream. I was like, please let me stop going to school, and they were like, no. So I admire that, especially when a parent is able to listen to their child. I'm sure Caitlin was asking for this in some way,
Yeah,
right?
she was. Yeah, she had started. We'd already been thinking about it, and she'd started asking a little bit before we knew we were moving last year. And so we just prayed about it together with her and looked into what our choices were. And we actually chose to do an online system that is actually through one of the local school districts. So we go once a month for in-house days where she is able to work with other kids and work with teachers who follow what we're doing. And it's nice because they do all of the grading for us, and
Ooh, that's really
everything is online. So we just basically teach and facilitate her education, which is good.
amazing. And then does she have like after school stuff that she does where she's like doing social things with other kids?
Yeah, she was in one of her favorites was photography clubs. So they go to some of the local parks and things and take pictures. And then she was in this one called geocaching. I don't know if you've heard of that.
I feel like I have. What is that?
Well, they take GPS devices,
Mm-hmm.
and it's actually all over the world. People
Mm-hmm.
go hide little caches with little trinkets in them. Some of them can get to have quite expensive trinkets, but just little toys and things. And you take stuff to trade once you find the cache, but you use the GPS to look up at the parks and things that you're going to. And basically they're learning how to use navigation to find, where they want to go. And so it's fun, but it's a good learning tool too. So they do that for a couple hours in the afternoons. And so,
Nice.
yeah, she gets
Does
all
she get to
kinds.
wake up late? Is that part of it?
Later than her brother,
Okay.
but we like to keep a schedule because if she
That's
decides
so.
someday not to have a home business, she's going to have to follow a schedule.
Oh
Or
yeah.
if she decides to go to public school at some point, or even college, she's going to have to follow a schedule. So she has to get up at 7:30 in the mornings. School
Wow.
starts by 9, so there's a little
That's
bit
so
more
great.
flexibility. And there's days when she was tired, so we'd let her sleep and we'd start a little bit later, or so it's
Yeah.
flexible. But I
So
just think
great.
keeping her on somewhat of a schedule was important so that she learns how to do
Definitely.
that if she ever needs to do that.
It's so true. But I think it's so beautiful to be able to like listen to that like that request of your child and to be able to accommodate it.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah, and
me.
if I worked full time, we couldn't do it.
Yeah, for
So
sure. So tell me a little bit about your like employment story and how you got involved in Empower. And this is your first full week. So how
yeah.
has it gone?
Well, it started. Carl has been doing internet marketing for since '09, and it started out because the church that he was pastoring at the time let the entire staff go, and just because of some financial reasons. So we found ourselves without a job, without employment, and or unemployment because pastors are considered self-employed, so they don't get unemployment. And so I was working part-time for an internet-based lighting company, and I've worked from home for 10 years now. But I was
Mhm.
working, it was an internet-based lighting company, and we all worked from our home. So I
Mhm.
still had that, and I was doing that. And we just decided that the internet marketing world was the way to go for us so that he could still do ministry and still travel because he goes to India and Africa quite a bit.
Amazing. Oh
And he'll
wow.
stay for, upwards of 3 weeks at a time.
Wow.
So a
What is he?
normal job.
India is a place I've wanted to travel to for a long time. What does he do there? What's his work?
He works with other pastors and trains them and trains church leaders in
Cool.
how to lead their churches and disciple people.
That must be so amazing. Has he taken you on any of these journeys with him?
I haven't yet. I have my passport and I'm ready to go, but it just hasn't been the right time just with kid situation and other stuff going on. But yeah, that's one of my goals is to go with him pretty quick.
Awesome. And now you've created a structure that allows you to work from anywhere in the world.
Yes,
Empower, right?
exactly. Yeah, and that's one of the things that we love about this. But so I had continued on with my internet job,
Mm-hmm.
which was not quite as movable, because it was working for a company and, I couldn't just go to a coffee shop and take it with me.
Right.
Um, but it still allowed me to be at home, which was our main goal for me was always to be at home with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did that until 2011 when, because of the economy, they eliminated my position and laid me off.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we were living in Corpus Christi at the time, and Carl, we were still building the business, and so we needed that extra outside income to help supplement that and take care of our family.
Mm-hmm.
And we were homeless at the time too, just because of income things, and
Wow.
we'd used all our savings and stuff. So we were living with our co-pastor who helped us start a new ministry. We were living with his family. So
How many
that in
people?
itself
How,
was interesting
how
too.
big was that house? How many people were in there?
There were 8 of us in there, and it was only 1,300 square feet.
Oh, that sounds
So
cozy. Very cozy.
yeah, it was cozy. We had 2 bedrooms. Each couple had a bedroom, and then the 4 kids shared a bedroom. And their kids were young enough that a lot of times they slept in the room with their parents.
Okay.
But we had the 4 kids
Wow.
sharing, space in one bedroom, which got to be interesting at times. But it was good, and they're our best
How
friends
long did
now.
you do that for?
We did that for 20 months.
Oh, cool.
So
Wow. That probably created a fire in your belly to have a better way.
yeah, it did. It really did. And then after after I lost my job, we had a good friend of ours who had a cleaning company, and he was also in the Navy and needed somebody to run it for about a month while he was going to be gone. So he asked me if I'd be willing just to come in one day a week and take care of business for him. And
Hmm.
then that ended up working out into something that ended up being full time. And then when we moved last year, he asked me, and so I became the office manager and really handled the day-to-day operations for him. When we
Mhm.
moved last year, he asked me to take the job with me and just do it remotely from
Mhm.
Kansas while he's in Corpus Christi. So we
Mhm.
did that. And then last year, or last in April, it just, after praying about it and really thinking about it, and the job just sometimes was overwhelming because, with a cleaning company, I would get people that would be calling me at 6 o'clock in the morning. I can't go to work, or I'd have something scheduled and people wouldn't show up, so I'm dealing with all of this stuff from sometimes
Yeah.
6 in the morning to midnight at night. And it just was kind of at the point where I was overwhelmed and tired and ready to be done with it.
Yeah.
So we just made the break. And last Friday, I spent last week in Corpus Christi helping him get transitioned
Nice.
and made the break. And so last Friday was my last day doing that.
Yay!
And I started in full fledged with Carl full time this week.
Wow. Wow. So what are you doing? Are you doing a lot of Facebook? Are you doing a lot of connecting like vlogging? Like what's your
I'm doing both. I'm doing a lot of Facebook, and then we're working separately, but then together as a couple. So we're branding ourselves separately and then branding together, and just really trying to do a lot of Facebook. I am blogging now, which is good, posting them on Facebook. So I guess it's all kind of intertwined.
totally
Um, so yeah, and we do paid advertising as well, but
cool.
try to do as much of the social interacting and networking as we can.
Awesome. That's great. That's really cool.
Yeah,
Yay. Well, welcome and congratulations.
thanks.
I've been in Empower since October. My story is a little like I mean my story is my story.
Yeah,
Last year I was should I tell you? Yeah.
yeah. Go
Um,
ahead.
so last year I was working. I was studying art. I was studying to be a psychotherapist. I've For me like psycho spirituality is a really central part of like me and like what I want to give to the world and how I want to help people like move beyond their obstacles. And so I was studying at the New School for Social Research. It was an art therapy program. It was like a post grad. I already have my undergrad in philosophy and theater. That's what I did many years ago, a couple years ago, and so I was studying to be a psychotherapist, and I was sort of like iffy about it. A lot of my teachers were kind of like people who I was like, I don't want that life. I don't like just people who there were a lot of really great psychotherapists out there, but what I was learning was like the people who I was working with were just not like it wasn't the model that I wanted. And maybe I was connecting with my own like divinity and sense of like what is right for me. And I was like, there has to be a much better way. And so I was working as a nanny. I was working with this like adorable young little boy who I absolutely loved. But my dreams are very, very big and I'm very ambitious and I knew it wasn't gonna last forever. So what happened was I sort of found out from the people I was working for who were about to have another baby that they were going to be finding someone more permanent. And I was like, at first I was like a little hurt, but then I was like, wait, no, actually, this is excellent. What do I want to do? Like, what is my dream? What is my goal? And I started envisioning, like, started to like really see this trip that I was going to do around the country. And I was going to go to Colorado and visit friends of my parents. And I wanted to go to California and I wanted to go to Florida and to Key West. And then out of the blue, I get this text message on my phone from this friend of mine from college who I haven't spoken to in like 6 years. And it's like, hey, do you want to come on a cross country trip? I'll fly you to California in a week. And I was like, what? Wait. It's like, when you're like, you have a moment, you're like, wait, who was listening to that? Like, what, what was going on there?
Yeah.
And so I was like, at first I was like, this is like maybe too good to be true. Like, I don't know, like, let me think about this. And so I gave it like a couple of days, but I started talking to him. And this is a friend of mine who actually became my sponsor in Empower Network, not because he tried, but because I was like so interested in what he
Yeah.
was doing. I was like, I gotta get in on this. So Hurricane Arthur Tubman is my friend from college. He was studying engineering and I was studying philosophy. And his life sort of took a big turn and he disappeared. and went through a lot of his own personal struggles and found his way to marketing and and to internet marketing. And
Hmm.
so that's what he's been doing. And he's actually, Arthur Tubman is like freaking phenomenal marketer. He actually created Free Blog Factory and a lot of other small companies. He is quite amazing. The reason he was actually brought in to Empower Network was because Dave and Dave were really interested in what he was doing.
Yeah.
And so they were like, "Hey, why don't you come check out what we're doing and and give us some feedback?" And then he was like, "Hey, this is actually a really interesting system that they're working and it's growing really like wildfire." And so he got involved. And so fast forward to, I make the decision. This is always the first step. I commit
Yeah.
to going. I say, "Okay, I'm going to actually quit my job," because it was sort of like they were like, "Well, we're going to find someone else." And I was like, "Oh." And then I was like, "What am I going to do?" So I had to quit, which was the first
Mhm.
step. So
Yeah.
I had to be like, "I'm done with this." So it took me a couple days, and then I was like, "Okay, I'm done." And then the second step was, I felt like it was important that I tell people that I had another job. So I told people that this road trip was a job. I was like, I'm going to be video marketing and doing all this stuff, and I really I wasn't talking from any real like, I didn't know, but I just knew, like, it was like this like strong sense, this strong trust that I had that this was going to turn into something really big. I didn't know what, I didn't know how, but I was just like, let's do it. So I think it was 2 weeks later, I flew out to California and I get picked up by my friend Arthur, who I haven't seen in 6 years, in his like BMW at the airport. And I'm like, dude. So he was actually moving from California to New York, and that's why he had to drive his BMW. And he had originally planned to do the trip with another friend, but that person wasn't able to make the trip. So he was looking for just somebody to come along with him and to take this journey. And so we started out in California. I met some of his amazing friends, like people who felt like they were like life people I felt like I knew forever in a
Mhm.
way. Um, Mary Severson, Joe Severson. Joe is like an amazing coach and also very spiritually minded. And he's also a really great marketer. I also met Mary Catherine McPherson, who's also a really serious healer. And I just, that was like the first day. And and
Yeah.
then we drove through Utah to Zion National Park. You've been to Utah?
I haven't been to Utah.
One of the most amazing spiritual places ever. Like, I've lived in Israel a couple of times, and Utah reminds me of Israel, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah.
So we did this whole trip, Utah, and then we went through Colorado and saw the Rockies, and we're going to see each other in Denver in a couple months, in like
Hmm.
a month and a half actually,
Yeah.
which is going to be wild. We went down to Key West, and okay, so this is where the story gets empowered. So as we do this journey, we're listening to all this personal development because Arthur is this like mega 6 7 figure a month earner, and he has his own company. He has his own like D4Y brand builder. He has like, I don't like, he has a lot of things going on.
Mhm. Yeah.
So and he's really quite expert at it. What he was doing while we were driving was just listening to personal development. We were listening to Jeffrey Combs, who's like a really wonderful mentor of Arthur's, who became a mentor of mine. He's a success coach. So we were just listening to all of this training, and I was just kind of like, it was seeping into my mind. Like, sort of, I was in such an open place in my life and looking for like the next step. And all these people are talking about entrepreneurship and building your own business and having your own life, like having a business while having a life. And I was like, this is amazing. So fast forward to, I think I was like, Arthur was doing blogging and making all these videos for Empower Network. And I was also actually at the same time building my own blog because I was really interested in having an online presence. So, but I wasn't doing it with Empower Network. So I started looking at his blog and I was like, hey, and I saw like a banner and I was like, what's this about? So I like clicked on it and like I start watching this video and I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. I was watching the Dave and Dave video
Yeah.
that where actually I think it's like Dave talking about how he used to live in a van and how how some cop was knocking on his van and he had like no money and he started just like writing and blogging
Hmm.
because he was like, there has to be a better way. And within 3 years, he made his first million
Yeah.
because he started to understand the principles and he started to plug into the right content and follow the right people who were making that. And I think the way that Dave had his first success was he was sort of like mystified. Oh, he was okay. He was always doing network marketing, but he never made money doing that. And I think he made this video about about how all the network marketing companies were stupid, and he like made fun of all of them. He was wearing this T-shirt with like a stain on it, and he was just kind of like just making fun of everything, kind of like ranting about it. But he put it on YouTube, and it was like people just like loved it. Everyone just kept watching it, and just like it went viral. Like there were like 3,000 views in a couple days. It was like that's what when something goes viral, people just wanted to watch it.
Yeah.
So he was like, huh, there's something here. He started to understand that like live, when he was live, something happened. So then I think he had an opportunity to sell something live, and he made like a huge amount of sales. And so he started to hone his craft. And a couple of years later, he met Dave Sharp. Dave Wood, Dave Sharp get together, and Power Network is born.
Yep.
So,
yeah, we've been in it since the actual very beginning. So
like a couple months in. I was there like I actually San Diego was like I was in San Diego like a couple weeks after I joined.
wow.
Yeah, but what's so amazing is and how it's changed my life. It's not like I mean people think like, oh, what is this? Like it's a blog, like how is that going to change my life? Like what is this really about? And it's about so much more than a blog. It's about like a community, a mindset, access to leaders who are succeeding in ways that a lot of people hire like coaches. I hired coaches. I worked with people who were succeeding and trying to follow them. And essentially, when you work with a coach, you need to consistently pay them like money, probably like over $200, $300 a session. And then, they give you a couple tidbits, and then you have to go back into your life and maybe integrate them. But maybe you do it and maybe you don't do it. No one is holding you accountable. And even if you actually know that you want to make this shift, there's no real structure. We're talking about structure. There's no structure to actually do that. So these are all things that Empower Network has because they're thinking about like how are they going to make people succeed.
Yeah.
It is nothing. None of the other stuff really matters. What really matters is like, and I kind of made a little note over here. It's about like the mindset. It's like what books do I read? Who do I listen to? Like what do I have to start convincing myself of? How do I start changing my mind? Because my mind got me into the situation that I'm in right now, that I was in last year when I was working as a nanny, and I was like, I have a millionaire mind. I have zero doubt that I'm going to make my first million in the next 2 years. I know that 100%.
Yeah.
Now it's about that daily production and what do I do? What do I do? How do I build that? What are the things I need to plug into to start creating that and start creating that? Because $1 million, this is sort of like, what matters about $1 million is not the $1 million. It's about what it's going to get me and what do I want and what do I want to build. And what I want to build is I want to build connections with people around the world who are interested in healing and who are like really, really smart and really, really accomplished about helping other people move through difficulty. And I want to connect with these people and give them a platform to share their message with an even larger audience. So
Yes.
how do I do that? I have to start building that following now and start connecting with people who are interested in that now. So that when I do this journey, and I'm doing it all the time, but when I really like step out, there's going to be people to receive the message. So how do I create that traffic? Empower Network is teaching me. And my ultimate goals involve having a big space. I'm going to have a valley. Well, I already do. I already have this like Napa Valley Ranch, which is a vineyard where I'm going to like raise my children, and that's happening in the next 5 years. So that's what matters. Everything else, like all this other stuff, it doesn't matter. And having that focus, like I have never been a super focused person. I was actually diagnosed with ADD, with ADHD, like, and because my mind is so fast and I'm going in all these different directions all the time. But if I actually want to succeed and grow and build something beautiful, I need to take a step forward in the same direction, and then I have to take another step forward in the same direction and another step forward. And how do I do that, And I've been trying to do that. And the answers to how to do that all lie in the structure and in the system and in the mentorship. Like I've been working with Arthur now as a mentor, and he tells me exactly what I need to do. He's like, Jenny, one thing. Do one thing. Focus all your energy on one thing. That's all. Otherwise, you're not going to succeed. And I see his success, and I want his success, and I know I can have it, and I already do have it in a way. So that structure, having a structure with people who can literally tell you what you need to do to succeed personally, with actions, like this is what you need to do every day. You need to write a blog. You need to market and share it with people. You need to read every day. You need to listen to daily audio. You need to get on these calls on Monday. You need to get to the events. And I think that's 6. There are 2 more. Oh, you need to be an affiliate. And what's the last one? It's a good one. That's the best one, probably.
It probably is, and I can't think of it right now.
but essentially, to get in the practice of doing all these things every single day and building that structure every single day, it doesn't, like, Empower Network doesn't even matter about that. It's not even about Empower Network. It's about you. It's about, like, the person watching this video who wants to succeed and has gotten stuck in this thing. You know, maybe they have the right actions, but they don't have the right mindset. Or maybe they have the right mindset, but they don't have any actions. Or they have the right mindset and actions, but they're not actually building something that can work for them. And what we see with Empower Network is that it works for people. When we were both in Chicago, they asked people to get on stage who'd made over $10,000 worth of sales, and there were like 500 people on the stage. Like, if you look at other network marketing companies or really any business, like, people don't make that kind of money.
They don't.
Right? And you've had experience in business. Like, how is this different than other businesses that you've been involved in?
Well, this is so much different because you can control what you do. It's up to you to determine what you're going to do. And, you know, when you're an employee, you're basically doing what you're told to do, and there's a limit on what you can earn, and you have to put in a certain amount of hours. You know, and you have to basically do what you're told to do, and it can become you're like a robot. Right. But with Empower, you're free. Yes, there are steps we need to follow because we all need structure.
Yes.
You know, we all have to learn how to do something that's brand new to us. It's a growing process, but there's freedom in it because your success depends on you. Your success doesn't depend on how good your sponsor is.
Totally.
Or you know, they can be the best.
And if your sponsor isn't doing what you want, there are 100,000 other sponsors and people who are willing to take that role and who are willing to coach with you and help you. Because this is a community, right? Like, I mean, you and I, we have no financial tie to each other. Right. But what we're sharing with each other is helping each of us.
Yeah, and that's it. And I think that's where the biggest thing is. It's community. And a lot of times these days, I think people have taken the social media thing a little bit too far and have just created their own little box.
Right, and they don't actually leave their house anymore. And they
yeah, and they don't share how they feel. One of my videos that this week was just on being real. And, you know, they're not real because you can get into this place where you just pretend and you put online what you want everybody to see online, and they think you're this person that has it all together, and none of us have it all together.
So true.
And so, you know, I think that's what's really different about this business is everyone that I've connected with so far is a real person, and you put it all out there. And
I love that. It's so true. And no matter where you come from, and I mean, you and I also, we come from, like, couldn't be farther apart, different backgrounds, different lifestyles, but we're able to connect about the most deep things because we both share something that's so I don't even know how to describe it. It's this passion to live life as it suits us in the most authentic, genuine, and nourishing way.
Yeah. I mean, we have definite goals and dreams of just being able to, with some of the ministries that we work with, just write them a check. You know, you need a water well, go get it. You need to build another building for your orphanage. Here's a check, go take care of it. Yes. You know, and we're just all about helping people, and it's the income from Empower is wonderful because that's how that funds some of our stuff. But we're not in it for the income. We're in it because we can help people. And we can connect. You know, there's somebody out there that I know I'll connect with today that needs to hear something that I have to say.
Yes.
And so that's what's so great about this is it's individual.
Totally.
You know, it's not a cookie cutter thing.
Totally. And and it morphs, and it becomes whatever you want. Like I know that there are people on my team who have this really cool thing called the World Traveler Show, and they all live in different countries, and they all every Tuesday they all connect and talk about what they're doing. And if you want to know the information about that, just send me a little message, and I'll totally share that. Like there's that. There's also the Daily Superwomen call, Monday through Friday at 1 p.m.
Yeah.
We feature one woman in our team who's really doing something magnificent, and we all listen to what she's doing and learn from that.
Yeah.
And what were you gonna say?
And that's what's so great is everybody shares everything they know, and there's no jealousy, there's no catfighting,
Totally, because there's an abundance mentality, and it's if you're like the person who's watching this, yeah, if you're connecting to anything that we've been talking about for the last 40 minutes, like you join with me, you join with Carol, you join with Carol, you join with me, you join with whoever invited you to see this, because it's not about like you working specifically individually with us. You will be connected with us no matter what. It's about bringing you into this energy and into this movement, and also for each of us to not have like fear. Like I don't have fear that like someone's going to see this and they're going to connect with somebody on my team, or they're going to connect with one of my sponsees. Like I don't have a fear about that, because I know that the universe is abundant and that God gives me exactly what I need and exactly what's perfect for me, and what I need to understand and what I need to learn, I think, and what I am learning actively in all areas of my life is my ability to receive. That's what matters. Like if I'm not able to receive, if I'm creating a block in receiving, like then I'm not going to receive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like that value, and it's something that I'm really learning actively, because I'm in this challenge of like growing a business, and like I'm actively learning like, oh, what am I doing? How am I spending my time? And how is that serving me? And at the end of every day I do a little debrief, and I write myself, oh, did that work? No, not so much. How did that work? A little bit better. And I think that consistency is really so important for building anything.
Yeah, I agree with that, and it's I've had to learn with one thing for me is I definitely at times, if I don't get everything done in a day, I've just lost it. And I've got my specific goals set.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe 2 days out of this week, I've met each goal, or I've met all of the goals for one day. But, I'm learning it's okay if I don't, because something else that I needed to take care of. And that's the beauty of this, I think, is life comes up and life happens.
Totally.
And you just, at the end of the day, you look at what you did. It's like you said, you look at what's working, what's not. You look at ways you can improve, and you go around and do it the next day.
Yes.
And so for me, that's one of the blessings of this business, is teaching me not to be quite so uptight and laid back, and to learn how to be a little more laid back. And if I don't meet it, but then again, looking at what is there something that I just wasted my time on, where I could have gotten something else done.
I set timers. That's one of my things. That's one of my things that my mentor told me. He was like, Jenny, I know you're going to want to write a blog post for 3 hours, but you need to just set a timer for 30 minutes. And when that timer is up, you get 10 more minutes, and then you have to send it. That's it. That's
there you go.
And I mean, if I had a teacher who said that to me, like, I don't think I would have listened, I think if my parents said that to me, I certainly wouldn't have listened. But because my mentor's a peer who's somebody who I admire and who's created something that, like, I really also am creating, I see him as somebody whose opinions, whose feedback I can really incorporate and take. And also because, like, he understands that my goal is to create financial freedom so that I don't ever have to have a boss, because that's been something that I've kind of been working through, where I'm like 100% committed with Empower Network, and then I'm like, it'd be great to make some money on the side to invest in my business. And actually, I did this. I had a waitressing job for a week. Because I love for me, like, hostessing and inviting people and having people have a wonderful time. I love this. This is like my cultural, my, like, identity. It's like my being is like, I feel so loving, and I feel so great to bring people into that. But standing for 8 hours and then having somebody who's like your boss say, I don't think you're meant to be a waitress. Like, that's ridiculous. So I was like, you know what? You're right. I'm not. Peace. You know, and actually after part of why I quit was because my body, like I was like injured, like I injured my knee,
Hmm.
and there was no sitting, there was no eating for 8 hours. Like that's inhuman, and it's also like everywhere, like everywhere there are waitresses and waiters who are in a system that doesn't honor their bodies,
Yeah.
doesn't honor their physical needs, and I think that like we found a better way, and you don't need to do that. You really don't. Like, click the link below this video. Don't do it. You don't have to. And actually, I made a video right after I quit, which I'm posting to YouTube later. And it's no cursing. There's no cursing, but it's just I'm like literally delirious because like I've like worked so hard. Like I worked my body to the bone, and then I was like, I felt so crazy, you know? And it
Yeah. Well,
that's what
and
happens too.
I think working hard is ingrained in us, but I
Mhm.
don't think that we were meant to work that hard. It
Yeah.
shouldn't have to be that hard. And I think, we're also meant to enjoy life. That's why we're given life.
Yes.
And so, I think Empower Network is just, it's been a great way for us to find balance.
Mhm.
With us, we have kids and they're active, and a lot of their activities, if we were both working full-time jobs outside of the home,
Mhm.
we wouldn't be able to be involved as much.
Of
Um,
course.
we have children for a reason, and we have children so that we can spend time with them and love them and grow them into people that will give the same thing. And so I think just being able to, part of being able to own your time and invest it the way that you need to invest it is is one of the great things that I like about what we're doing.
Totally. Totally. And anyone can do it. Anyone
Yeah,
can do it. So, okay, so let's tell people what they can do. If they like what we're talking about, if they want to join, if they want to learn more, there are links right below these videos. Yeah?
there are
And
links. All
and
you have
they
to do,
must
click one of them. Doesn't matter which one you click.
exactly. Exactly. And just get in, join us, get on one of these hangouts. Keep watching. You know, if you're like, "Oh my God, this is amazing, but I need to learn more." Just keep watching. If you click one of these links below the video, you will get on our lists and you'll find out about what we're doing. You'll get to see another one of these hangouts. So
Yeah.
that's okay. So one, click the link, definitely. Two, subscribe to this channel. Those are the two things that you have to do. Number one, click the link. Number two, subscribe to this channel. And just, become part of this revolution. We're changing the world. Things do not have to be the way that they used to be ever again.
No, they don't. And number three,
Hmm.
don't think you have to learn everything before you start, because
Totally.
I am learning day by day. A lot of
Mhm.
this stuff I don't know. There is always a resource to teach you how to do it as you're going.
Totally.
So don't think you have to know it all either, because you don't.
So true. So true. So, Carol, it was so great to connect with you today and have this
Yes.
really deep, valuable talk. And I feel like I've gotten a lot out of talking to you. And I'm so grateful for this connection and to make this contact. And I'm sure that I hope other people feel the same way. If you feel the same way, make a little comment below this video. I think my roommate just got home. Hey, dude. But just get involved. Just get involved in what we're doing. It's really powerful stuff. And get on the next one. We're gonna do another one of these probably next week. Yeah,
Yeah, next week
next
we'll
week.
set a time and have it going. And Jenny, I am really blessed. I've learned a lot just listening to you, and I'm so thankful that we've connected. This is awesome, and I just look forward to what it's going to be like in the days to come. This is going to be good.
Totally, totally. I feel pumped. Sweet. So
Great.
good to meet you in face-to-face person.
Yeah. Good to meet you too. And nice to be able just to chit chat like this too. It's been good.
Yeah, it really has been awesome. So yeah, so we will speak again soon,
Okay.
and I think like next Saturday or Sunday we'll be doing
Okay.
it
Yeah,
again.
I think that sounds great. We'll just set up a time and go for it.
Perfect. Sounds great.
Great.
Okay, cool. Have a great day.
Thanks. All right. You too.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.